What is up, my brothers from another mother? In today's video, I'm going to be dropping some cold hard truth bombs when it comes to entrepreneurship and getting a startup business off the ground. Let me give you a couple of basic stats before we dive into the information I've created here. A lot of people move into entrepreneurship lately in the last few years for a whole bunch of reasons. It is viewed upon by society as a lot more sexier than some other professions. And there's a lot of high profile, very successful people out there like Elon Musk and Richard Branson and so on and so forth. So people tend to gravitate to that. I read a recent article that I saw in my Facebook news feed that said that I think it was a swiping dating app that did a study, and they studied the right swipes based on profession. And the number one profession that showed up at the top was somebody that labeled themselves as an entrepreneur. So it's deemed as fairly attractive by the opposite sex. Now, the reason why I'm making this video today is because I do a lot of coaching calls on clarity.fm, and there's two things that come up on a consistent basis from these startups that I coach. The first is a lot of people are doing things that they think is something that's scalable or that can be a business, which is really a hobby. And I'm not going to talk about that today. Maybe I'll do another video on that some other time. But the other thing is they get stuck in this area here of the solopreneurship. You can call it wantrepreneur, you can call it solopreneur, but it is not the same thing as having a business that uses multipliers. And I'll explain what I mean right now. So if you take a employee versus a solopreneur, and then you break down the main tasks of those employees, let's say it's tasks A, B, and C. I'll use a company that I own as an example. My call center that's out in Whitby that has client service representatives that negotiate for our clients. They'll have, let's say, three major tasks, dealing with the credit card companies, helping the clients out, dealing with law firms. If you were to kind of spin off on your own and want to set up your own business, you'd still have the same tasks you'd have to complete in your 80-hour work week. But you're also going to have additional tasks that fall on top of that as you're working by yourself, or maybe you've got one other person in your very small startup, but it hasn't scaled yet. Things like dealing with bookkeeping, source tax deductions, errors and omission insurance, dealing with claims if there's anything that comes up, the liability issues that come around that, legal fees, lawsuits are a major pain in the ass. I've experienced a few of them during the course of my business, and this is probably the single biggest contributor to loss of sleep and conflicts in your business. Marketing and sales is tremendously difficult, way more difficult than what I had ever predicted when I first got into business for myself. And it takes a lot to master it and get it right so that the cost structure works so that you can multiply and grow the business and still have cash available to incent your employees and pay yourself nicely. And then you've also got things like IT, phone, fax issues. I could even keep going down this list and adding things like, being the housekeeper. I remember for the first couple of years when I was running my business and I first set up one office, I had one or two employees at the time, and I was still, vacuuming floors and scrubbing the toilets on a Friday at 7 o'clock when everybody had gone home. So in this area here, I'm talking about very, very small scale. You either work by yourself. These are the people that hold out to the world themselves as being like, the dog walkers of the world, the people that have, like a small dry cleaning business, maybe a boutique firm that does something like SEO, or a t-shirt sort of business or something like that. But essentially, this is going to be something like 1 to 2 staff. So yourself and maybe your one other key person. In many scenarios, it's the person that had the idea and then maybe their partner or their best friend or something like that. And that's essentially how that operates. Now, this is okay. This is an integral part of the startup phase, is putting in the time, because even though you're putting in possibly a third to maybe twice as much the time as what the employee is, you're still getting compensated the same. Most people in this space are not making more money than the employee. So the idea is to invest in all this extra stuff over here so that you can move down into this area here. My marker just died on me. Anyway, so that you can move down into the area of an entrepreneur, which is a multiplier type of mindset. And I'll explain what that is. I had a mentor when I was younger that said to me something that I thought was very profound at the time, and it just keeps sinking in more and more. The longer that I'm in business, is that there's really only two ways to scale a business and be successful. Being able to offer a ton of value, and that's to be able to multiply it, to have some sort of multiplier. So either people or money will multiply your skills. People in the sense of you're able to have employees, and money in the sense where if you're in a line of work where money can make money basically as interest or as investment products, then that's another way to do it. That's really it. There's no way to stay in the space of the 1 to 2 mindset of the solopreneur and being able to have impact and offer value. This here is where a lot of people are and stay when I'm doing my one-on-one coaching calls with the startups, okay? And I'll give you an example. I had a conversation with a guy that had been in business for about 3.5, 4 years. He had a sales training product, and it was him and a part-time assistant, which I think was a family member. And he was actually doing fairly well. He was doing something around $300,000, $350,000 a year in sales. But he was responsible over a 2-week period of time for all of this, okay? Plus he had a couple of kids at home and a wife, and he didn't have a lot of time to spend with them because he was doing all of this shit. And my recommendation was, okay, you've got a proven formula. Now how do you multiply it? How do you scale it up so you can end up here? And through whatever limiting belief system he just did not want to let go of, he basically stayed stuck in here. I've been in touch with him over the last 6 months, and he hasn't really adopted any of the policies that I recommended to him. So staying in this area is going to exhaust the crap out of you. This is the learning, the startup, the hard work, the blood, sweat, and tears section. And in my opinion, it should never really last more than 1 year to 2 years, maybe 3-year tops. If you're stuck in this area, you're either stuck in a solopreneur mindset or a entrepreneur mindset without the ability to graduate into something larger, or you've got a hobby business. And it's okay if you identify it as a hobby business, but then you're falling into basically the 9 out of 10 that are never able to scale up or to be able to use the multipliers. And what I mean by that is roughly 9 out of 10 business owners are never able to report more than $1 million a year in sales on their P&L. And that there keeps them in a solopreneur mindset. You guys probably already know that most businesses fail within the first 2 to 3 years. I think the stat is something like 92% of businesses fold. And then those that do carry forward, 9 out of 10 are making less than $1 million a year in sales. So there's a very, very small percentage of highly successful elite entrepreneurs that'll make over $1 million to $10 million. So in that scheme of businesses, that's a nice area to be. You can be profitable. You can have a great lifestyle. And then there's the really wow sort of guys, like the moonshot guys, like the Elon Musks of the world, the Richard Branson, the Peter Diamantises, that have been able to scale into something that's in the hundreds of millions of dollars or even $1 billion types of business, like Jeff Bezos with Amazon, for example. So I trust that makes sense. If you're stuck in this area, my recommendation is find a way to get out and either move back to the role of an employee, which is okay, or if you want to scale it up, move down over here. If you're stuck in this area and you need help with coaching, you can always book me one-on-one on clarity.fm. It's clarity.fm/Richard Cooper. I'll stick it up here somewhere. I'll also leave a link in the low bar of the video. But happy to do more videos on this stuff for you guys. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. Of course, smash the like button. If you know somebody that's been operating in this realm for a while, show them the video. Let them see it so that they can grasp a little bit more of a concept. You definitely want to move down into here. This is where you're operating at 30,000 feet in altitude, and you're able to orchestrate things within the business and use multipliers like people or money to help grow it and offer more value and be able to reward yourself with the luxury of time. Because at the end of the day, the real reason why people get into entrepreneurship is to have a little impact in the world. As Steve Jobs said, he just wanted to put a little dent in the universe. And of course, you want to have some freedom of time and money as well. So that's it for the video today. Thanks for checking it out. I hope you guys have an awesome one. Peace.